Hey everyone, welcome to the new video on my channel, and today in this video I am going to talk about an investment which I started making in the month of August 2023, and this is nothing but Sula Vineyard. From August till date I have accumulated close to around 6,000 shares of Sula Vineyard, and I am going to tell you the exact reason why I did this and why I believe Sula can become a potential multi-bagger in the long run. So first, let us start by looking at the wine industry in India. Wine industry in India has a very small market share. When you compare the total alcohol industry in India, wine has less than 1% market share as of today. So that means there are not a lot of wine consumers compared to beer or whiskey. So for example, whiskey today in India has a market share of close to around 40%, whereas on the other hand, the wine industry in India just has around 1% market share, so lesser than 1% market share. So when we take a look at the overall industry size, so the entire alcohol market in India is growing at 11 to 12% CAGR. So that is the growth rate of alcohol in India. But when you look at wine industry in India, since it is so small, it is estimated that the wine industry can actually grow at somewhere around 20 to 25% in the next coming years. So that means report also project that the wine market share is slowly going to increase from lesser than 1% to anywhere around 3 to 4% by 2030. So currently we are in 2024. So in next 6 years, the wine industry or the wine market share is expected to increase almost around 4 times. So this obviously provides us a very good opportunity because alcohol as an industry is growing one. Second one, in that we are picking something which is growing at a much faster pace and which has a very low market share. So potentially this can end up growing bigger. So even if it is going to capture 2% or 3% market share, so potentially the wine companies can almost double or triple from here. So this is the first point why exactly I am picking Sula Vineyard. So now let's come deep into the wine industry and try to analyze from there. So when we take a look at the wine industry, there are hardly few players in wine industry in India, 3-4 prominent players. In that, Sula has more than 50% market share. Not just that, year on year, Sula is actually dominating the market share, and I particularly believe going forward, Sula can increase its market share from here. Currently, it is around 52 to 53%, but I believe slowly or eventually it can also extend to 60%, and I'm going to give you the reason why exactly I believe that. First, let's start by looking at the competitor plantation areas. So how much acres they have in wine plantation. When we take a look at this data, while the competitors have a total plantation area of somewhere close to around 200 to 300 acres, some of them even going up to 400 acres. On the other hand, Sula has a total plantation area of 2,600 acres. So this is almost close to around 5 times of its average competition. So just going by the size of the plantation, Sula is already 5 times bigger than the competitor. So whenever we have a large plantation area, obviously we are going to grow more, which means the inventory time is also going to increase, or the inventory days is also going to increase. But surprisingly, for Sula, even though it has 5 times more the plantation area, when we take a look at the inventory days of Sula is just somewhere around 460 days compared to its competitors who have around 650 days. So here itself you can see the competitive moat that Sula is having. In spite of having 5 times larger plantation area, it also has a better inventory days. So this means that the turnover of Sula wines is much higher than any of its competitors. So with this, we have already understood why exactly we are betting on the wine market. In the wine market, why exactly we are betting on Sula? One, they have the high market share, they have larger plantation area, and they also have a better inventory turnover. The next question is, why can't competitors start to compete in this market? Broadly, there are two kinds of competition which Sula might face. One is the competition from domestic players, and one more is competition from the international players. So when we take a look at the domestic players alone, so growing or getting into wine industry is not an easy task. So apart from the established players, if you want to grow grapes and produce your own bottle of wine, it will take at least around 5 to 6 years for you to complete the entire process. So that means from today planting the grapes to harvesting and producing the wine, if somebody has to enter new, it would take them close to around 6 years. That means at least until 6 years, Sula is not going to have any competition from the new entry apart from the existing players. The second kind of competitors are the foreign players. So now if you ask me, why can't a foreign established brand come into India and sell their wine? So the thing is, when you take a look at the wine import duty, it is almost close to 150%. That means a simple 3000 rupee bottle of wine would cost you anywhere around 7000 rupees if you have to import it. So now when you actually take a look at the Indian market, 80% of the wine sold in India is domestic wine and remaining 20% is the imported wine. So that means the imported wine market is fairly lesser because of the very high import duty. So Sula is able to more or less achieve a similar kind of quality with less than half the price. So it's a natural inclination, anybody who wants to start with wine or buy wine, so they would be going for Sula because it is available less than half the rate. So this is another reason why even foreign brands cannot easily enter into wine market in India. So broadly, now we have also analyzed the competition, why exactly Sula dominates today and why it can continue to dominate with no other player really having an edge to beat Sula. So now we come to the final point, why exactly Sula can actually increase its market share also. The main reason for this is Sula today is trying to build more like a cult. So what do I mean by that? Sula offers a fantastic music festival where more than 3 to 4 lakh people attend every single year, and it is one of the largest in Asia. And not just that, they also offer wine tours. That means you can go to the Sula Vineyard, see how the plantations are, explore the entire winemaking process and also taste wine. So that means if you are the person for the first time, in case if you are going to try wine or if you are just going to Vineyard just to experience how the wine is made, so you will be given Sula wine to taste. You would be introduced to wine by first tasting Sula brand. So whatever you consume first, more or less that stays in your mind. So next time when you want to buy wine, so you would most likely go and choose Sula because that is the only brand name you would know. So you have experienced their entire vineyard tour, so which means you have more trust in the brand. So you have seen how exactly the wine is made. So next time given a choice, most likely they would prefer going for Sula wine compared to something else where the brand is not so popular. So this way, by conducting music festivals, by conducting vineyard tours, so Sula Vineyard Tour is one of the most popular wine tours around India, and a lot of people actually go and attend that and also taste wine. So this way they are trying to establish a very strong brand presence in India. Even today, if you go around and ask a lot of people about the wine brand, they would hardly know one or two, and in that Sula would most likely be one. First and foremost, they have a very strong branding, and second, they also make sure that their brand presence is felt by every single person. So this way, Sula has a really good competitive advantage to outwit the competition and also increase their market. So now we'll be also looking at the financials. So I have opened Sula Vineyards on Screener, and when we take a look at it, this is a small cap company. The entire market cap is just around 5,000 crores, which means it has a huge potential for also becoming a multi-bagger. We also know for a fact that mid-caps are generally valued anywhere between 20,000 crores to 80,000 crores, and large caps are valued anywhere around 80,000 and above. Currently, Sula is coming under a category of small cap, which means if things happen as we expect, then it has a huge potential to become a multi-bagger. So you can see that recently itself, the stock saw a fantastic move where it went up almost around 40% in 2 days, and now the stock is consolidating. So when we come further down and take a look at its competitors, so first one is United Spirits, which we all know, the famous brand of Kingfisher. So the market cap is 80,000 crores. Then you can also see United Breweries, the market cap is around 50,000 crores, and this currently is somewhere around 5,000 crores only. And when we further come down and take a look at the results, so let me make it consolidated. So when we further come down and take a look at the result, so you can see this year, that is March 2020, just before COVID, they had reported a sales of 485 crores. Post that in 2020 they got hit, and 2022 again the sales started to pick up. So there is not much data about how the sales has grown year over year because we only have hardly 4 years. But what you can see is between 2022 and 2023, there was an increase of almost around 40% in net profit. So you can see this is TTM. We still have 2 more quarters left because they haven't reported their December 2023 numbers. Then they have to also report their March 2024 numbers. So after that, we are going to get the final value. So in case if the profits have grown well, then again we can see somewhere around 25 to 30% growth in the net profit. So overall, the business is looking decent. It is looking strong. The sales are also growing at a fairly good rate of 15 to 20%. So keeping all this in mind, so whatever we had discussed earlier regarding the market share, regarding the wine market, regarding the competitors, regarding how it is difficult for a new entrant to come into wine space, and also how wine is going to grow as the entire sector. So I feel Sula is a really good stock to invest at current valuation. So that's the reason. So currently I hold close to around 17 to 18% of my portfolio in Sula Vineyard, and the other almost close to around 40% of my portfolio is held in IDFC stock. So I'm going to make a detailed video on why I believe IDFC can also become a potential multi-bagger in the upcoming years, why it can easily outperform its mid-sized banking competitors like Federal Bank and AU Small Finance Bank. So with that, we also come to the end of this video. I hope this video was useful and you were able to get some insights out of it. So one thing which I want you to note is this is not a recommendation. This is just an analysis on why exactly I made my investment. So before you invest in the market, make sure that you consult your financial advisor and only then put your money in the stock, right? So with this, we also come to the end of this video. If you have found this video insightful, make sure you hit the like button, share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for joining.